you almost feel bad posting like, hey, we're trying to help our staff because there's going to be so many people out of jobs. And I don't think that like there's enough open positions in the markets that are not close to the water to offer all these people, positions. There's no way. It's just too many. The devastation is just massive.
I'm Dalia Colon, and this is The Zest. Citrus, seafood, Spanish flavor, and Southern charm. The Zest celebrates cuisine and community in the Sunshine State. Speaking of community, today we are checking in with a community member whose restaurant was devastated by Hurricane Helene. So we'll be hearing from Dan Bavaro of Bavaro's Pizza. October is Italian American Heritage Month and National Pizza Month. So today's episode was supposed to be a lighthearted conversation that I recorded back in June with friend of the pod, Dan Bavaro. He's the owner of Bavaro's Pizza, which celebrates its 15th anniversary this year. The restaurant has 5 Tampa Bay locations, along with a successful line of sauces. Back in June, I caught up with Dan at Bavaro's downtown location on a beautiful day with a packed dining room during lunchtime. In that conversation, as you'll hear, Dan shares lessons from his 15 years in the Italian food business. But then, just last month, not even a couple weeks ago, Hurricane Helene slammed into Florida's Gulf Coast before continuing its path of destruction across the southeast. Bavaro's Clearwater location got hit hard. So I called Dan for an update on how he, his staff, and the building are doing. We spoke over Zoom on Friday, October 4th, and I am recording this on Monday, October 7th, as we are all pretty nervous about Hurricane Milton coming our way here in Tampa Bay. So I hope that by the time you're hearing this, everything is fine and everyone is safe and sound. But we did want to bring you this conversation with Dan, and to make sure we could do it when we had power and Wi-Fi to upload it for you, we are recording this today on October 7th. So if you would like to support Bavaro's employees during this difficult time, you can buy a gift card. For every card purchased, 40% goes back to the restaurant's employee fund to help team members displaced by Helene. You can also donate to a GoFundMe that's been set up specifically to help the restaurant's Clearwater team members who will be out of work for the foreseeable future. And you can find links to both the gift cards and the GoFundMe in the show notes of this episode, wherever you're listening to it, or on our website, thezestpodcast.com.
My name is Dan Bavaro, and I'm the founder of Bavaro's. And my day-to-day job is to make sure all the engines are running simultaneously everywhere.
Literally everywhere. Okay, so it's noon on a Monday, and we're at your downtown Tampa location. Place is packed, as people can hear. Congratulations on your Clearwater location, and congratulations on 15 years. So what do you know now that you wish you had known 15 years ago when you were starting this business?
When I started this business, I knew nothing except how to make Neapolitan pizza, because I dedicated like 3 years of my life prior to opening. So probably I wish I knew everything.
What do you mean you've dedicated 3 years of your life?
Well, at the time, Neapolitan pizza wasn't known. There was only like 2 restaurants in the country at the time. So I started studying yeast, flours, ovens, heat, temperature, different types of starters, and just practicing making small batches of dough at my house in my kitchen in New Jersey before we moved to open. So that was my contribution to Bavaro's. Plus, I walk in this restaurant downtown, and along with the help of my architect and designer, who's now my good friend, I help design every square inch of this place, every outlet, every brick, the coves in the wall, and just getting inspiration from other restaurants at the time. And we just kind of pulled it all together with his help. So this place is a piece of me, now 15 years. It's pretty amazing.
Wow. And it's beautiful. I mean, you got the exposed brickwork, I don't even know, what do you call that stuff over there? It's like a mirror type thing.
Yeah, so anyway, so that wall is actually soundboard to absorb the noise. Because we put that up, and originally we put it up, it was brown to go with the decor, and then last year we renovated the kitchen. A lot of people don't know, like, we started as just solely pizza and salads. And then a couple years in, we're like, we got to get some more revenue, so we want to do catering, right? And then we made sauces, which the sauces became, its own business in grocery stores across the country. But our stove was like an electric stove from Home Depot in the back of the restaurant for 14 years. Last year, in our 14th year, we renovated the building, our space, and brought in a gas line, a gas stove, a hood, and all this stuff. So that's why you see the whole kitchen is now in front of you like our other restaurants.
Oh, okay. And of course, you've got the wood fire. That's what people want to see when they walk into a pizza place, is that fire. What is Neapolitan pizza? What's the difference between that and the pizza place down the street?
Yeah, so not that any other is better, but Neapolitan pizza is the birth of all pizza we know today. Back in the 1800s, it was created in Napoli. Queen Margherita visited the town of Naples. There's a famous pizza maker that created the pizza margherita after her, Queen Margherita. So the difference is really 00 flour, which is milled in Italy. So 00 is like a talcum powder. All natural flour, and it's milled super fine, so it's very soft, right? Creates a very soft dough once cooked. So that's a piece of it. San Marzano tomatoes, which is they're grown outside Mount Vesuvius. The type of cheese you use, okay, fresh basil and stuff, and then most importantly is the pizza oven. So Neapolitan pizza is like the whole recipe is meant to be cooked in 900 degree Fahrenheit, which the Neapolitan ovens are designed to retain the heat, not only hold the heat but retain it. So that is what the difference is. And then obviously the finished product. In Italy, it's a delicacy. It's not supposed to be cut. In America, we cut the pizzas. I didn't want to fight that battle. So what we do here is it's supposed to be met with fork and knife. You're supposed to eat it, okay? And what you'll find is a much softer pizza than one of a New York style. Like if you pick it up, it's supposed to flop down. That doesn't mean it's not cooked. That's the way it's supposed to be prepared, okay? And then your crust is very poofy, a slight crisp on the outside, and soft texture on the inside.
Oh my gosh, why did I come here at noon? You're making me so hungry right now. Have you been to Italy?
Yes, yeah, of course. When I went, I got to go back. I'm way overdue. And now I may actually not even have to pay for hotels because I know so many people now. They could just stay in like castles and wineries and stuff. I just got to get over there. But yeah, when we went, it was before the restaurant opened, and I wanted to meet the family that has handmade these ovens over 3 generations. I met the family that mills the flour over 3 generations. You're talking all these companies, 100-year-old companies. I met the families, broke bread with them, learned more, and just, you need that emotional connection to really create something amazing.
And I guess you're Italian, Bavaro?
Yeah, correct. So Bavaro is actually from the other side of the boot of Italy, a small town called Giovinazzo in Bari, and my mother's side, Vitorino, is from Napoli. So the heritage is there, which is one of the reasons why I wanted to do this style of pizza, not just to be different, because in 2009 no one was doing it, but I wanted to have some type of connection that I could be passionate about and something that I could like represent like a culture and not just, here's a slice of pizza and that's it,
Very cool. Okay, you talked a little bit about some of the things you added, like the sauces that are for sale and things like that. How else have consumers' tastes changed? Like, do people come in wanting gluten-free pizza or dairy-free or just things that you didn't think of when you first set out?
Yes, we have to be conscious to all of that. We can't prepare the gluten-free pizza because if they're really a celiac, they're going to be in trouble just because of the flour in the oven. Like, there's so much flour in this restaurant floating around. If you really are a celiac, like, just don't. Any Italian restaurant would be tough to fight that, Some is just a dietary where they just want to stay away from the gluten. But we also offer options for pastas. But I'll tell you, the biggest challenge, honestly, wasn't so much as the dietary, because we could just get creative with the menu. And we have a lot of talented people that work for us and have worked for us over the years that we've been able to adapt. I think the biggest change, honestly, when we first opened, the first 5 to 7 years, no one really knew what we were serving. Like, they didn't understand. So I made pizza for the first 5.5 years. Every shift, I made pizza for 5.5 years, 5-6 days a week. It was only me.
Wait, what? Were people buying the pizza?
Yes.
Were you taking it home?
No, we wouldn't allow takeout because I wanted people to understand what we were doing. But they would come up and be like, it's not cooked, it's soft, you don't need a fork and knife. When I hold it up, it flops. So a good friend of mine, Guy Nickerson, he does television, TV shows. He's like, Dan, you need to spend the next couple of years educating your customers on what Neapolitan pizza is. So now, 15 years later, people have traveled the world. There's been movies on Neapolitan pizzas. There's more Neapolitan pizzerias throughout the country. So the education is there. And I've even had people who dined with us at first that didn't get it say, you were right. I was like, I wasn't lying. I mean, it's just something new. So for me, that's the biggest change that I could appreciate the most, because it's less of a battle on the education.
How do you educate your customers? Is that where social media comes in?
At the time when we were doing that, I don't even think there was Facebook was a big thing, or Instagram wasn't, at least. We did it through TV segments when we would get placed, news articles. We wrote it on our menus. We didn't allow takeout for the first 3 years. So if you called for a pizza, we're like, sorry, we only serve here. Eventually, when we had pizza boxes, we put it, best eaten with a fork and knife inside the restaurant. Now we have reheat instructions on our boxes and our bags. So this is just kind of continuous education that we do.
Wow. So it's education for the customer and for you. You have to learn how to teach the customer. So you had to learn how to make the pizza, then you had to learn how to teach the customer. I know you have a few other locations since the last time we spoke, which was before COVID, including a location at the airport. Now, what's the biggest difference between running a restaurant here on Franklin Street, downtown Tampa, versus running a restaurant at an airport?
Yeah, so obviously the biggest difference, we can use firewood. So the oven is gas.
Oh, I didn't even think of that, actually.
Yeah. So that's number one. But we have an amazing gas oven. It's made by an Italian family that moved to the States a while back. And so that we've kind of overcome. And we also have a third party. So there's a company called SSP America. They actually run Bavaro's for us. So that is the difference. So we have to get all our communication through them. And I visit a lot, and I have a brand ambassador that goes to the airport twice a month to keep with the staff. But I think as far as operating, that's probably the biggest hurdles that we've had to overcome. So
what about the expectations of the customer? If I'm at the airport and my food takes more than 5 minutes, I start to get kind of irritated.
Yeah, so luckily we're there 7 years. We have a great team. They're very passionate and culinary driven, so they could get the food out right. Our pizza's cooked in 90 seconds. Plus we have pasta there. It's quick to get out. So
nice. Okay. It seems like you're doing awesome. You've got all these restaurants. This place is packed on a Monday. Do you feel like you can breathe easy now? And what was that moment when you said to yourself, okay, I can take my foot off the gas just a little bit? Do you recall a moment like that?
To be honest with you, I will never breathe easy. And I will never take my foot off the gas, because the minute you do that is the day you see closed on the front door.
But you can't just, are you open 7 days a week or 6 days a week?
Yeah, so all the restaurants are open 7 days a week, lunch and dinner. To be fair to your question, I will say none of this would happen without the amazing team that I have working at Bavaro's. Those that are here now, those who contributed and now moved on in whichever way, it doesn't matter. When we find the right people, the foot don't come off the gas. It just gets easier, because you got people that are bought in, they're contributing, they have the same goals as you, and it helps.
When you started out, I'm guessing you were here every single day, all day?
5.5 years. I missed one day. I had 104 fever. Yeah, I made every pizza for 5.5 years. And then as the sauce business grew, that's when I slowly started to trust and train people. And I didn't just do that because I was a control freak. Downtown back then was no business. So if I didn't do that, we would have never financially made it, Plus, it was the biggest education in the business for me because I didn't know, hospitality. I didn't know the kitchen. Now I know every square inch and, I learn and I grow, but I know the ins and outs of this business. But we rented a conference room in one of the hotels downtown around our 12th year in business to have like a leadership meeting. And the woman came in to give us the beverages for the room for the day. And she's like, "Oh, Bavaro's, I've been there." She's like, "You know what's funny though? One time I went and they weren't serving pizza because they said their only pizza cook was out, and that was me."
That was the day you had the fever?
That was the day I don't do.
That's wild. Okay, so what's something you can do now that you have a little bit more time? Like, do you put yourself on a schedule? I mean, not everybody's going to have a successful pizza restaurant, but everybody has like a career goal in mind, and they feel like I got to just hustle and grind. But is there something you do now that you didn't do back then because you have given yourself a little bit more time?
Yeah, so with the growth of the restaurants, we've been able to add and afford more people. So I'm not in the four walls as much for like hands-on. So a lot of my time is coaching, planning, envisioning what the future is going to look like, helping, with advice on, we call it blocking and tackling, things in the day-to-day that are like disrupting the business. So that's where I spend a lot of my time. I spend a lot of time with my kids and stuff, and I like to stay in the gym and sauna work to kind of keep my head straight. But yeah, so like those types of things you can't do when you're working in the four walls. So now I'm working on the business instead of in the business, which is not easy, especially like, even now I used to wonder what goes on because the pizza is the hardest thing to do, So like I still think about it. Like tonight, like who's at the oven? What's coming out? Let me go on Instagram, see who's posting. Was that right? Was this right? Yeah. That'll never go away.
Yeah. Okay, you mentioned your kids. You've got 5 kids, and I met your son, Antonio, is it? Okay. So are they all interested in being a part of this? I'm sure it would be your dream for them all to like come into the fold. Do you see that happening?
I'll be honest with you. It's I get that question a lot, and I'm the type of guy that's like, look, if they want to do this, that's going to be their choice. My son Antonio's been a tremendous help. I mean, he's in all the stores. He handles a lot for his age. He's 21. He does a lot. But he's got different dreams. He's doing this now to help build his foundation. So he loves real estate. So as he works on Bavaro's and gets his income, he makes his contribution. And he's building his own life outside the world, which is what I ask of our team now. It's like, look, you're going to come in here. I need you to perform. That's all I'm going to ask you is just perform at the best of your ability. If you're doing this for a year, 6 months, 3 years while you're in school, or, you're trying to start your own business, it's like I will be your biggest supporter as long as you come in these 4 walls and you perform for the company. So he's kind of in that mold. So, yeah. So if they do, that's great. If they don't, I'm there to support them, and we'll see what happens in the future.
It's a good place for a 21-year-old to be. Okay, this might be sacrilegious, but do you ever just order like chain pizza from one of those no-name kind of places, or is that a no-no in the Bavaro household?
100%. I love some pizza in Tampa. Yeah, I got 2 spots I frequent, honestly. Sometimes like twice a week.
Can you say what they are?
Yeah, so coming from the Northeast, New Jersey, I got to say on Howard Avenue, New York Pizza does a really good like New York style pizza. That box is in my house. The owners know it. I send my kids in so I don't go in, but at least twice a week we're getting that. And then when we want something a little bit more different, we go to Fabrici. Jeff Giganti's a good friend of mine in Hyde Park. He does the square pizzas, and he does a phenomenal job. Every once in a while I'll text him like, you guys are really consistent with your dough. So, yeah, so I like the square pie. It's really good. So those 2 pizza boxes are the only boxes that come to my house.
Okay, so you're not getting like Hungry Howie's or anything like that?
Yeah, nothing against any of those concepts, but I'm more for, the crafted and, yeah. So I'm not like a Domino guy. I don't know. I don't think I've ever eaten Hungry Howie, so I can't say anything.
I can, but I won't. Okay, last question. It's been 15 years now that you've been in business. What's next for you? What are your goals? Where do you see yourself in the next 15 years?
You know, I'll be honest with you. I'm kind of like a silent force of nature, let's say. Like, as things come up, people be like, when did he do that? How did he do that? You know, how did they do all this? It's kind of how I operate. So I'm working on a project right now. I don't want to get too much into because it's not fully complete, but there'll be something popping up and before the end of the year that fits well into the mold of Bavaro's. And then look, as long as we collectively as a Bavaro family do what we're supposed to do and our guests still appreciate it, we will continue to grow at a very natural pace. There is no rush for me. I want things to be natural. And it's got to be with the right people, the right leadership team, and the right timing. So whatever is, I'm blessed with, I'm happy with. So that's it.
Okay, I respect that because I'm the same way. Thank you so much for taking the time. I know you're off to your next stop.
Thank you so much. This is great, and it's always a pleasure seeing you. That was my original conversation with Dan Bavaro, recorded at the downtown Tampa restaurant back in June of 2024. And what you will hear next is our updated conversation recorded on Friday, October 4th of 2024. We spoke over Zoom. I was in my house and Dan was in his car. We are recording this on October 4th, 2024, so a little over a week after the hurricane, and you're in your car right now. Like, we thought you were busy before, but can you just tell me what's going on today? Where are you going? Yeah, so today, honestly, I've been basically just manning the phones. It's been a lot of my week, the latter part of last week through the weekend, and then into this week was hands-on with the team there in Clearwater trying to get our restaurant, prepared to be renovated. So everything inside, all the contents and everything was destroyed because, category 3, whatever that hurricane water touches is garbage. So that honestly, like the amount of phone calls, emails, and the trying to reach contractors, dehumidifiers, insurance agents, you name it. I was probably a good 50 some odd hours on the phone and just trying to organize that. And this week I probably flipped my laptop open maybe like 2 hours so far. So I know I probably got like 300 emails to attend to.
Oh my
crazy.
gosh. Wow. Yeah, I can't even imagine. Okay. So if you don't mind going back to last week when you walked into that restaurant for the first time after the hurricane, can you describe what you saw?
Yeah, so I wasn't the first one in the building that day. It was Friday. So my son, who works with me, 2 managers, and my son's girlfriend, who always has been working for us, they, trekked over the bridge because no one was allowed in Clearwater. And we were probably the first business to actually be in there gutting the place because we went first thing in the morning. And I had to stay back to start getting some calls, and he FaceTimed me. And my other son, Nico, was there too. And I was like, well, hopefully it isn't too bad. We sandbagged and everything. And my jaw dropped. I was in a coffee shop, and my jaw was on the floor. I couldn't believe it. He's like, it's way worse than we thought it was. So I was like, all right, get started. Let me finish what I'm doing. I'll grab sandwiches. The guys wanted socks and some clothes. I was like, I'll grab some of my stuff and I'll head over there. So it took me about 2 hours because everything was getting rerouted. Got a spot right in front of the bridge, walked over, and I started seeing like jet skis on the side of the road, boats piled up on the side of the road, entering into the circle of Clearwater. And then you just start seeing like sand and dunes in the streets. And I'm like, I've never experienced anything like that. And no one was around except like army vehicles. And it was pretty crazy to experience. It's like a ground zero of devastation. I've never experienced that in my life. we're worrying about us, we're worrying about our community, but there's just so many people impacted. It's just, we're trying to help our staff because there's going to be so many people out of jobs. And I don't think that there's enough open positions in the markets that are not close to the water to offer all these people positions. There's no way. It's just too many. The devastation is just massive. We just opened the restaurant January, and here we are gutting it now. All the walls are getting cut out, and it's pretty crazy.
Wow. Okay, when you were describing the scene and your son FaceTiming you, it sounded like you were remembering something that happened 10 years ago, but this was a week ago. And then you just like sprang into action. So do you feel like you've even processed it? I mean, this restaurant is kind of like, it's like your baby,
Yeah, it's, we had a great opening there. First 9 months was a blessing. Most restaurants open. I've had some that have opened strong, some not. Some have taken, years to get going. But this one right out of the gate was a hit, and we opened at the right time. And, as an entrepreneur, it's like the biggest blessing you could get. And then, 9 months later, here we are today. Fast forward, my job when I walked in the door, everybody kind of had their assigned work. They delegated very well. I got some amazing people working with me. And I said, all right, I'm taking the bathrooms. It took me 4 hours to clean 2 bathrooms.
No.
And they're like, why don't you come over here? Why don't you come over there? I was like, listen, I need to see something normal.
Yeah.
So then it's like, I start talking to all these companies that like deal with the remediation work. They're like, Dan, so what? You cleaned the bathrooms. Thanks. But guess what? I'm like, what? We're ripping all the walls off 4 feet high from the ground up. And, we tested one of the walls a couple of days ago before the contractors deployed their crews. And, we went behind, we had like shiplap, that wood that goes, across.
Mm-hmm.
Then it had plywood. And then behind that wall is insulation. When we got to insulation, there was sand on it.
No.
So it just tells you like what this, the water does. I mean, it's wild.
Water is so powerful. If anyone has ever had even like a leak in their house and you know how big of a pain that is, and
This
just
is
multiply
like
it by, yeah, for sure. Absolutely. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. You mentioned the employees. What's going on with the restaurant now? Is it open at all? Are the employees able to be there?
Yeah. So we react really quick. We responded pretty fast to what was happening, at least to the best of our ability. And we got the place cleaned up. We spent a couple days doing that. And I had called the health inspector and I said, look, we got the detail the best we can. The area around our pizza and our pizza oven was fine because it's elevated high enough. And the walk-in cooler is okay and all that stuff. And I said, look, we serve like pizzas out the window. We got these garage doors. It's just grab and go. No one comes into the restaurant. He's like, I know you do things right, but I just got to come check it out. He came. He's like, I can't even believe how clean this place is. He's like, granted, you're going to do your demo, but as far as like where we're operating and throughout, the place was sanitized. Everything, all the issues were behind the walls. So he inspected us and he said, you're good to serve, a couple pizzas and a couple salads. And we did that really just to, maintain some sort of staff there. And it's not like we're going to do crazy numbers, but it helps the people that are down there. They got a place that they could grab something safe to eat, and we could generate enough money to at least pay a couple people, So that's kind of what we're doing now. So the idea is to do like renovation work during the day, and then 4 to 5 hours at night, we'll just sell some grab and go until we could operate. So that's the goal. And then in addition to that, Bavaro's has always been a giving business. We grew our business on donating throughout Tampa Bay, our time, our food, or, when we can, money and gift cards and sauces, like whatever we could do. We're always in the neighborhood and supporting the community that supports us. So we put up a GoFundMe page for our staff. Whatever money we raise will get split up amongst the team. We've got some really sharp people in marketing. We decided to do a gift card promotion. So if you buy a gift card off our website or in the restaurant, 40% of the proceeds will go directly to the Clearwater staff.
Nice.
So
okay.
It's kind of the stuff we're doing.
That's great. Okay. And we'll link to the gift card promo and the GoFundMe in the show notes. What about your other restaurants? Are they doing okay?
St. Pete, bounced back after the storm pretty strong. I think that has a lot to do with a lot of displaced people on the beach or in the hotels probably, or Airbnbs in the area. Plus a lot of other restaurants are closed. So I think, we'll see a little bit of lift there. Tampa was fine, no damage there. And then same as Sarasota. So the other stores weren't affected by the storm. I think one of the things that has been on my mind, I'm sure it's on a lot of people's mind, is like the ripple effect of this storm. Even after we get through, especially hospitality people, they're so resilient that we'll overcome this. I mean, a lot of people are going to, feel it in businesses. We're one of them, right? But we'll overcome it and we'll come out of this stronger than ever and obviously more educated, which is the thing. But like the effect on tourism, I think is what now I'm concerned about, because we're all like, all right, once we get open, we're going to be busy, which I'm sure, we'll get some business, but like this has been pumped through the news all over the country, maybe all over the world. I don't know how far out it's going.
Yeah,
but
actually, I have a friend in Australia. She just emailed me yesterday and we were talking about the storm. So you're right.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's true. So like, think about it. So like, are people going to cancel their plans for this, upcoming season that we all are so dependent on? So I think, right now that's kind of what we're trying to think as far as strategy wise in marketing. And I hope that visit Tampa Bay, visit St. Pete, Clearwater, I'm sure, they're all focused on, okay, how do we rebound to bring people in? Because not only does it help the businesses, but it also helps the local economy across the board, including the cities and stuff. It's how everybody generates their money. So I think that's the next thing we got to be cautious and look for is what's going to happen afterwards.
That's a really good point, because it's a whole ecosystem. Okay, you just opened that Clearwater restaurant, you said, less than a year ago. So has this experience changed your perspective on being an entrepreneur?
Not at all. I'll tell you, my first business, I was in luxury transportation in New York City, and we just started to grow. I chauffeured for a while, and then I just added cars and slowly came out of the car as a chauffeur and just started to grow the business. And then 9/11 happened. And I'm like, okay, I guess I need to find a new career. But, I buckled down for 6 months. The phones didn't ring. We got creative with certain types of transportation during that time. I think we were doing packages for people. Then afterwards, when things got back to normal, our business wound up tripling because a lot of the bigger companies couldn't make it. And then I sold that when I was 27, moved down here when I was 30 to open Bavaro's. And I moved here in December of 2008 with my family, and we opened March of '09, the first store downtown. And guess what happened in '09? Financial crisis. Right? All the banks, everything collapsed. People weren't spending money. I mean, it was just devastating. So we were able to overcome that. And then obviously COVID. So this is just a new notch on the belt. So no, I mean, I'll tell you, after all this was going on and you're trying to process this, and I'm like, all right, because this isn't just Clearwater. This affects the whole Bavaro organization because, we have a lot of shared expenses between all the stores. And it's like, this is bigger than just that location for us, because we depend on the revenue there. But I had some sense of joy, to be honest with you, some sense of like, I don't know if joy is the right word, or like faith that this all is going to be okay. So like, I'm the last person on my team that could have my head down. If I have my head down, everybody has their head down. So I need to be positive. I need to show that. And I know we will overcome this. So that's what I just keep preaching everybody and saying, look, we're going to be fine. We're going to be okay. It's going to hurt for a bit, but like, let's just hang in there and we'll get over this, and then we'll be stronger and better afterwards. And, life will carry on. So
amazing. Okay. You mentioned a notch on the belt, and I was just thinking about a previous time when I spoke with you about your boxing career.
Yeah.
You get knocked down and you get back up. And so that's what you're doing. That's amazing.
Yeah. I think, over time, I mean, I'm at it. I've been my own employer since I was 19 years old. I started that business, and I'm 45 now. So I think all these experiences just make you, smarter, make you able to navigate a little. Also builds up durability is what I like to call, how durable are you? How much pressure can you take? I think at the end of the day, this is just, a challenge, and you overcome it, or, you fold your arms and say, it's not for me. So that won't come out of my mouth. So
No, never. You said that you felt a sense of joy, and part of that is probably from these other experiences, 9/11 and COVID and the financial crisis. You've been in this position before, sort of. But is there anything now that's giving you joy? When you look around as you're cleaning the bathrooms and doing all these things, are there like little moments that just kind of make you think, okay, maybe somebody is watching out for me?
yeah, because, I don't really watch the news, but we can't avoid the news. It's on our phones, Instagram, social media, and it's like, yeah, in my world, this is bad, right? And it is bad. It's not normal, right? This wasn't good for anybody. But then you see houses floating down the street, buildings being demolished, roofs ripped off and thrown, and it's like maybe multiple stores it could have been. I think we got lucky in some fashion. In so many ways, it was a horrible thing, but I think in some fashion, we also saw some luck. I never really assessed what happened where this hurricane landed, I think up in the Perry or Tallahassee area. I mean, I can only imagine the devastation in North Carolina. I mean, it's like they're not used to this stuff. It's like you can't really just dwell on how bad things are. Sometimes you got to find the positive. So I think that's honestly where I've been keeping my mindset. This way everybody could kind of remain positive and know everything will be okay. So it could always be worse.
Yeah, because you're the captain of the ship. Wow. Dan, this was only a week ago. I
know.
I still can't. Is there anything else you want to share?
Oof. I say when things get back to normal, whenever that might be, probably 2 months, 3 months, just, I think Tampa Bay and surrounding areas are big on supporting their community. So, if you have the means to, get out there and support your businesses. Those that have the means now, find some of your favorite local businesses you could donate, Feeding Tampa Bay, et cetera, Metropolitan Ministries. There's a lot of people right now that need some love. So I think that's where everybody needs to put their focus if you're in the position to.
For sure. Well, I really appreciate your time. We are definitely rooting for you. You're a fighter.
Thank you so much for having me on. I appreciate it.
That was Dan Bavaro of Bavaro's Pizza. We are sending all of our love and prayers and well wishes to the Bavaro's team and everyone affected by this really difficult, devastating hurricane season. So as I said at the top of the show, if you would like to support Bavaro's employees during this difficult time, you can buy a gift card. For every card purchased, 40% goes back to the restaurant's employee fund for team members displaced from Helene. You can also donate to the GoFundMe that's been set up for the restaurant's Clearwater team members who will be out of work for quite some time. And you can find links to both of those, the gift card and the GoFundMe, in the show notes of this episode or on our website, thezestpodcast.com. I'm Dalia Colon. I produce The Zest with Andrew Lucas and Alexandria Ebron. The Zest is a production of WUSF, copyright 2024, part of the NPR network.